I discovered this house has people in it well after most people. Almost 8 years after everybody, in fact. I'm a devoted follower of the work of a French musician and YouTuber, Feldup. On the 4th of February 2024, Feldup published a video. Cette maison cache un énorme mystère. This house is hiding an enormous mystery. After seeing this 3-hour piece analyzing the project, I delved into the original material of This House Has People in It, and in a tremendous amount of videos and Reddit threads made by fans presenting their theories, including the Nightmare Masterclass video and the Night Mind video, which is to this day the biggest reference for analyzing This House Has People in It in the English-speaking world. I became, obsessed with this house. It became a splendid way to occupy myself during my nights of insomnia. I started scribbling, gathering images, screenshots. In the end, I had a tremendous amount of material, and I decided to put up a video with it. If you already know what is This House Has People in It and need no reminder, I invite you to reach this time code. For the others, who are, like me, late on every single trend on this planet, what is This House Has People in It? Initially, it is a 12-minute short film which aired as an infomercial on Adult Swim at 4 a.m. at night between the 15th and the 19th of March 2016. This House Has People in It is built upon the video surveillance footage taken from a single home entirely equipped with cameras of the company AB Surveillance Solutions. In the house, it's the day of little boy Jackson's birthday party. All seems well. The parents, Tom and Anne, are in the kitchen. Tom is holding their baby, Amber, while Anne is preparing strange, colorful foods. The grandma is watching a clay sculptor TV show in the living room. Dennis, the repairman, is fixing something in the cellar. And Madison, the teenage daughter, is laying face down in the kitchen floor. Not on the floor, but in the floor. The parents don't notice her at first. They talk about vacation plans. Then, Anne, the mom, acknowledges the presence of Madison and gets suddenly angry, ridiculing her daughter by taking pictures of her and threatening to show the images to everyone. Then, both parents realize that Madison is actually stuck and sinking more and more into the floor. They start freaking out. Anger turns into fear. Screams, stove burning, baby escaping, strange flashes of creatures. A thing outside looking like a Sonic ripoff, aka Sonic, and a scary entity in the basement, one that is hard to describe. All while Madison steadily sinks into the floor. Jackson sees his parents going crazier and crazier without any ability to stop what's going on. He realizes his birthday party is likely to never happen, as his parents order him to not open the door to the guests who are now gathered in front of the house. Madison finally goes through the floor and falls on Jackson's mattress that Anne, in all urgency, had brought down the cellar. The camera glitches. It seems that Madison has disappeared from the mattress. Outside, the guests who were playing in front of the house are now all laying face down on the ground. The camera cuts. The credits unfold with the layout of the company AB Surveillance Solutions. In a final flash, the strange basement entity appears, in close-up and in color, facing the camera in one last terrifying stare. People were looking forward to this broadcast of Alan Resnick's new project. His previous film, unedited footage of a bear, had already been a success. This infomercial for an anti-allergy medicine, or maybe an antidepressant called Claridril, turned into a terrifying movie, sweeping themes such as the American health system, mental health, child mistreatment. More importantly, unedited footage of a bear contained clues linking to other media, including a strange website and a sort of flash game in a house full of secrets. Viewers guessed that this house has people in it would also contain clues to extra content, and oh boy, were they right. In the original 12 minutes film, the name of the fictitious AB Surveillance Solutions company appears, along with a website link. The website actually existed. Hidden within it was a log containing a tremendous amount of video, audio, photo, and text files detailing what was going on in this house for several years. Every notable event was kept track of by the mysterious AB Surveillance Solutions company that seems to have the ability to manually control the cameras in the house. All the footage was put together in the right order in several videos available on YouTube. I'll link one for you in the description. What about the ceramic show that the grandmother was watching on TV? The Sculptor's Playground is an important part of the universe of This House's People in It. A full episode of it is available on a separate YouTube channel.
Hey! Today we're going to be making a 3-tiered pot, and that's with clay.
The mysterious show host, played by Alan Resnick himself, owns a website where he displays his sculptures and his severe delusions. His delusions concern his artistic skills, but most importantly, they revolve around the strong belief that people are at risk of catching Lynch disease, a dangerous ailment that can be caught in myriad of ways and expressed in diverse symptoms, including getting perfect pitch and yucky ear. This House's People in It is not a 12-minute short film. It's a multi-layered project containing more than 2 hours of raw material. To be fair, the best summaries of This House's People in It were done by Feldup for French speakers and Nightmind for English speakers. They not only offered a detailed crackdown of the structure of This House's People in It, but also managed to recreate the quote-unquote natural discovery of the project by a random spectator. This is precious, because some elements of the project don't exist anymore and had to be recreated, sort of, using Wayback Machine. Feldup and Nightmind contribution is extremely important on this point, and I can only invite you to see their videos if you haven't already. As always, link in the description. So, what can we globally say about This House's People in It? It shows the life of a dysfunctional blended family, where parents desperately try to keep a good face, enforce gender roles, and display traditional values, in spite of their obvious mental distress. Meanwhile, the children are terribly neglected, physically and emotionally. The only one who seems to be having a good time is the grandmother.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
The family consumes what is expected from a caricature of the American family. They eat way too many takeout pizzas.
Pizza?
What a night. Yeah, let's order a pizza.
I'm gonna run out and grab a pizza. I'll be right back, okay?
Thinking about ordering a pizza.
They plan holidays likely to Disney World.
Take the money that we're gonna use to go to Orlando.
And both Jackson and the father are obsessed with a cartoon character, a Sonic ripoff named Boomy the Cat.
Boomy is a blue cat. He runs very, very fast. And I think that the imagery and the way it's portrayed is kind of meditative for him.
Blue cat is gonna give your son some control over his life, but we'll give it a shot.
This House's People in It shows a family getting wrapped up in strange beliefs revolving around a potentially imaginary illness, Lynch disease. Their belief becomes an obsession, a full-on paranoia, that nevertheless gives them a sense of purpose and belonging. They are connected to potential other believers, Lynxers, who are informed and more or less controlled through a strange gazette filled with dangerous advice that they receive regularly in their mailbox, with pink post-its attached. Whether Lynx disease exists or not, its effects seems very real. The characters often appear in stiff positions, unable to control their limbs. They seem mentally and physically sick. They also seem to be unable to notice or acknowledge what's right in front of them. They don't see Dennis, the repairman, getting assaulted right in front of their windows, just as Tom is explaining his wife why he doesn't want to get glasses.
Did you ever go to the eye doctor?
Yes.
So you got glasses?
No.
All the weird stuff that is happening never seems to have any consequences and is never discussed again after it occurred. The family never talks about the fact that Madison fell through the kitchen floor into the basement. The text logs refers to SWAT team intervention, characters literally losing their heads, etc., etc., with no consequences. Meanwhile, a humanoid, looking like Tom but who is not Tom, and who is dressed in a Boomy the Cat disguise, roams around the house, and sometimes in the house, unnoticed by the family most of the time except for Jackson. And, most importantly, a pink entity, apparently dressed in Jackson's bed sheets, slowly drags itself out of a pile of mess in the depth of the cellar to roam into the rest of the house and into the garden. The very final video of the timeline of This House's People in It is the pink entity finally reaching the foot of the bed of the parents and opening its arms wide as Tom and Anne scream in terror. A joob of theories. When John Lennon wrote the song I Am the Walrus, he made the lyrics pure gibberish on purpose so that people would freak out in their own crazy interpretations. Afterwards, Lennon enjoyed to sit down with his cup of tea and read the weirdest theories circulating in the press. The initial gibberish, the Eggman, the pigs from a gun, and the joob, they don't matter. The audience made nonsense significant by themselves, with their active role in listening and echoing with the lyrics. It's probably also the case with This House. This House's People in It is a transmedia masterpiece that intertwines issues around mental health, illness, anxiety disorder, satire of the idealized American way of life, all wrapped up in horror and a crazy humor. Some people laugh at This House. Others are scared or extremely ill at ease. More often than not, it's a mix of the two. As Alan Resnick said in an interview, "Nervous laughter has always been my favorite kind of laugh." What is beautiful about This House's People in It is that it was created as a collective effort by several artists who added a tremendous amount of unplanned details during filming. It's a rich creation that can unfold through so many theories and interpretations. Dina Kilberman, the creator of the websites that are part of This House's People in It, said in an interview, "We ended up each putting in so many little details that I don't think any of us know about all of them. We try as hard as we can to make sure everything fits together, but sometimes there's small errors, and those just end up getting scooped into the theories. And then, of course, there are theories we never even considered, which is great. Often they're really good ideas. This is my favorite part of everything." There is no master explanation, nor master solution, no magical golden key that would make everything clear. Simply people digging for meaning. Alan Resnick was once asked, "Is there a larger mystery to be solved?" To which he said, "Here is my non-answer. There are several mysteries to be explored, but there is no one question to be answered. I realize that is a terrible answer." The layering of the fan-made theories, attempting to explain This House's People in It, is an amazing adventure. The theories can coexist, even when they contradict each other. The footage and content of the project also contradicts itself, all the time. I love reading people's explanations and intuitions around This House's People in It, because they often seem to be intertwined with their personal history, obsessions, and their sense of humor. Some say the family members inhabiting this house are Sims, glitching while being controlled by an external player. Nick Nocturne of Night Mind channel put together the theory presenting the pink entity as a personification of Lynx disease. As the belief in the disease grows stronger within the family, the creature slowly gets stronger too and is then able to fully materialize and come up to the surface, along with the debilitating symptoms the family suffers from. Nightmare Masterclass talked about the repression within the family, the erasure of Madison's biological father and Jackson's biological mother. The team behind This House Has People in It apparently tremendously enjoyed the weird theories blooming. They also likely played with the audience, monitoring research and even adding content as research among fans was unfolding. Alan Resnick famously commented Nightmind video with the mysterious message, "Find the R," a possible reference to the missing R in the Happy Birthday message hanging on the chimney in the original 12 minutes film. Spoilers: nobody has found the R. At least, not for sure. And it probably doesn't matter. Lots of people, me included, see this "find the R" message as a little push. Resnick is tickling us to all keep going. I'm not going to present in details the theories that have already been developed elsewhere. I've decided to simply present my own through 4 propositions of missing R's. As I said before, I absolutely don't think of it as any kind of master's theory. I'll use the present tense simply to avoid saying maybe or could be a million times, but they are always implied. I wish this video to be an extra rabbit hole in This House Has People in It. It's my little quest for the missing R. Take it, twist it, contradict it. That's what it's for. R for Return of the Repressed. In the 1973 short story, The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, science fiction author Ursula Le Guin invites the reader to imagine a city of perfect happiness and splendor. Omelas sounds in my words like a city in a fairy tale, long ago and far away, once upon a time. The entire city is getting ready for a party. It's the first day of summer, a beautiful parade is about to start. Omelas is at peace. Omelas apparently has no hierarchy between its citizens. The first few pages of the story represent total harmony, an harmony that is impossible to believe, in fact. But then, the narrator adds, "Do you believe? Do you accept the festival, the city, the joy? No? Then let me describe one more thing. In a basement, under one of the beautiful public buildings of Omelas, or perhaps in the cellar of one of its spacious private homes, there is a room. It has one locked door and no window. A little light seeps in dustily between cracks in the boards, second-hand from a cobwebbed window somewhere across the cellar. In one corner of the little room, a couple of mops with stiff, clotted, foul-smelling heads stand near a rusty bucket. In the room, a child is sitting. It could be a boy or a girl. It looks about 6, but actually is nearly 10. It is feeble-minded. Perhaps it was born defective, or perhaps it has become imbecile through fear, malnutrition, and neglect. They all know it's there, all the people of Omelas. Some of them have come to see it. Others are content merely to know it's there. They all know that it has to be there. Some of them understand why, and some do not, but they all understand that their happiness, the beauty of their city, the tenderness of their friendships, the health of their children, the wisdom of their scholars, the skill of their makers, even the abundance of their harvests and the kindly weathers of their skies, depends wholly on this child's abominable misery. Reminds you of anything? I know, Pink Entity is scary. Pink Entity seems like a creepy monster hidden in the basement. Pink Entity is ridiculous, over the top, a jump scare appearing in flashes. Pink Entity is the final vision of horror of This House Has People in It, opening its robes in front of the parents like the monster mother in Cronenberg's movie The Brood. Granted. But pink entity actually never hurts anybody. And the fact that the parents are scared of it isn't a proof of its evil nature. Pink entity is sad and quite fragile looking. It's an oppressed, repressed, forgotten creature, alike to an abused child locked in a basement. It echoes the way the adults in the house neglect their children, all the while aggressively trying to maintain an image of what they consider to be a family.
We're a family!
Children humiliated, left without bedsheets, left without true care and tenderness. On the surface, Lynx disease seems to be the cornerstone of the family life. So much of what they do, eat, plan is defined by the Lynx Review, the strange gazette they regularly receive. But if Tom and Anne invested more time and actual care into their children, they would have to abandon the cultish practice of Lynx disease. The cornerstone of this house is, in fact, neglect and blindness from the parents towards their children. Pink entity is the embodiment of the neglected child, a sacrificial idea and a sacrificial body on which the system and the house itself is built, a tragic foundation. In many cultures and many different eras, there are both legends and sometimes archaeological traces of so-called construction sacrifices. An animal, and sometimes a human, would be interred in the foundation of a building to ensure the good graces of any local divinity and make sure the building would stand strong. In Japan, the practice is called itobashira, the human pillar, and is said to have been practiced in the case of the castle of Maruoka and Matsue. In Albania, the Rosafa castle is said to be built on the sacrifice of a mother who was walled in and who only asked that her breasts be uncovered so that she could feed her newborn baby, a story that was famously adapted in The Milk of Death by author Marguerite Yourcenar in 1938. Likewise, in Western Europe, author and researcher Sabine Baring-Gould reported the finding of human skeletons in the foundation of towers in Ireland. Pink entity is a sacrificed creature in the basement, the foundation of the house, a wobbly foundation, one that requires constant small fixes for it to stand.
And it's this stage where we like to add in some more supports, because it's getting big, it's getting kind of out of hand.
Unlike the child of the ones who walk away from Omelas, and unlike the victims of human sacrifice who are eternally trapped, Pink entity manages to come back. It's the return of the repressed that Freud describes several times as quote-unquote indestructible in his interpretation of dreams. Tom and Anne can no longer avoid their fears, but also the proof of their own lack as parents. When abuse is revealed, it's never a nice moment. The people who reveal the abuse are often shut up, because abuse, especially when the victims are the most fragile people in society, is almost impossible to face and to truly hear, especially with our yucky ears. Usually, the victims are silenced. And if they're not, then the public narrative around the perpetrators has to transform them into absolute monsters. Only absolute monsters can hurt a child, right? Except neither Tom nor Anne are monsters. For instance, Anne displays quite a lot of strength and sense of initiative to attempt to help Madison when she sinks into the floor, even though it comes after a session of humiliation and neglect. Deep down, Tom and Anne seem to truly love their children. They are people who are fragile mentally, people who might be the victims of a cult leader, and people who possibly went through terrible loss, as some theories imagine that Jackson's biological mother died in awful circumstances. They are facing obvious difficulties. The spectators can feel sorry for them. But the fact is, even if they love their children, they abuse them. If Pink entity is so often interpreted as evil, it could be because it's so hard to wrap our head around abuse. It's easier to see Pink entity as a demon rather than a victim. But let's say it truly is a sacrificed victim. Then The last scene of This House's People in It is the return of the repressed, the facing of reality and the facing of violence. Pink entity opens up the bed sheets in which it wraps itself, standing in all its vulnerability and in all its truth. R for resurrection. Maybe pink entity is the embodiment of the neglect and abuse that is the cornerstone of this house. But we can even take it a step further. Maybe, more than an abused child, pink entity is a dead child, or the personification of 3 dead children about to resurrect. When we look closely, pink entity has a little bit of every child in this house. The pink bonnet of baby Amber, the bed sheets of Jackson, and, well, the body of Madison? I know it might seem like a really dumb connection to link Madison to the creepy boob shot of pink entity, but as a girl, I know that breasts are a very real issue for a teenage girl. The body changes, the body hurts, the body is seen differently by people around you. It's a difficult experience, and Madison seems to be always hiding somehow, with large clothes, or physically locking herself up in the toilet, according to the logs. Meanwhile, pink entity is also hiding, wrapping itself in Jackson's bed sheets that form a vague robe, and hiding in the video logs themselves. Each child in this house is dead, and only appearing in a strange, glitching limbo. Several clues heavily point to it.
You're dead. You're a dead body.
Of all This House's People in It, this video log was one of the scariest moments for me to watch. Jackson is completely stiff, looking like a crucified victim on his little car bed, while the grandmother speaks to him with all her spite, literally telling him that he's dead. Also, in the original short film, Jackson might be the shape appearing under his mattress, wrapped in white sheets, in a sad parody of a tomb. As far as Madison is concerned, the image of death is pretty obvious. She literally goes to the other side while being completely unresponsive. What could have been an extraordinarily superpower crossing hard surfaces appears only as a curse. At least it's a sign of severe depression, going down, and at most it's a sign of death. As far as Amber is concerned, she's seen in the original short film escaping the house, as the grandmother doesn't even pretend to watch after her. After this escape, was Amber the victim of some kind of accident resulting in her death? Her name itself could be read as a clue to this fate. In the US, an Amber Alert is a public message broadcast when a child has disappeared and is suspected to have been abducted. In a series of hidden images in the video logs, Tom is seen in the garden, making Amber jump in the air. And she never seems to calm down. Did she literally go to heaven? In later footage, Amber appears as a doll in a video log. After her disappearance, or her death, was she replaced by a baby reborn doll? These very realistic dolls that help some grieving mothers in their mourning process? Okay. Let's say pink entity is constituted of a little bit of every dead child in the house. What would then be a sign that it's resurrecting, aside from the fact that it's slowly crawling out of the basement? To me, what looks like the clearest and possibly the funniest sign of this is that pink entity's design looks a lot like the doll nicknamed Repressed, a medical simulator used to practice life-saving motions such as CPR. Also, this is what Repressed looks without its rubber face. Just saying, the curse vibe is definitely there. Repressed is rumored to have been modeled from the death mask of the ANKOUNAC'HAAT, the unknown lady from the Seine, a woman who might have thrown herself in the river in the late 19th century. The coroner supposedly found her so beautiful that he created a death mask to preserve her. The photograph of this death mask surprisingly became a popular house decoration in early 20th century. The Repressed design is the result of this strange mixture of life and death. To me, pink entity might be 3 dead children, slowly and painfully trying to resurrect and to announce the end of an era of abuse. Return of the repressed and resurrection go hand in hand. Okay. After all I've said, maybe you saw this other R coming. R for Religions and Reverends. This house has people in it seems to make lots of fun of certain aspects of the American way of life. Consumerism, junk food, Disneyland. Tom embodies a theatrical patriotism and a blind militaristic mindset. He literally listens to war sounds for pleasure. And the fridge repeats the word war, war, war. He might want to run for office, still according to the fridge gospel. He loves display of authority and strength.
Yeah. Wow. This is what trains used to look like.
Right?
But what about religion, this big part of the traditional white American family? There is no direct, explicit reference to the family's religious practice in this house's people in it. But there are plenty of strange elements that could refer to it.
It's your flag. It's your flag. It's your flag in the sky, and we will make it ours, and we're proud of the flag. Salute the flag. Salute the flag. Salute the flag on the mountaintop.
This passage has often been noted by people online as a mockery of mindless patriotism, especially with the final salute of all the members present. The flag could be the American flag. But what if it was not? Salute the flag on the mountaintop. It's your flag in the sky and we'll make it ours. This could actually be a reference to the Bible. In Isaiah 13:2, put up a flag on a clear mountaintop, make a loud outcry to them, give directions with the hand, so that they may go into the doors of the great ones. The flag that Tom is singing about could then be interpreted as Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner. Tom is trying to ostensibly and quite mindlessly show his faith, but there doesn't seem to be much depth to his belief. He's only loudly performing it, not living it, and he sounds like a broken record. The entire family religiously follows the advice of what seems to be a strange cult, the Lynx disease cult. They regularly receive the Lynx Gazette in their home and immediately follow the advice it contains, as absurd as it seems, hiding randomly, buying dog costumes. The cult is maybe led by the clay sculptor, a kind of artsy televangelist who broadcasts his show on TV directly into the family's home. Is the sculptor sincere, or just cynical and manipulative? Nobody can really know. Maybe, like Marshall Applewhite, the leader of the infamous Heaven's Gate cult, the sculptor is both a deadly manipulator and a victim of his own delusions. The sculptor has delusions of being a demiurge, a creator, both artistically and spiritually. Artistically, he pretends selling his works for thousands of dollars. Spiritually, the pile of clay with a face in his show looks like a parody of a creation myth. Prometheus sculpting men from clay, God sculpting Adam from clay. The sculptor is mainly a manipulator, announcing his ominous project through his art. He literally cuts the top of the skull of his creature to smash it and then mold it. The entire family cares more about how they dress, which includes dog costumes, and what they eat, which includes clay pizzas, rather than what they actually do for one another, how they treat others, how they treat the most fragile people around them. I believe it makes This House's People in It a satire of religious fanaticism, which pushes people to care more about theatrics than spirituality. All of this leads us to R for Revelation. The book of Revelation is the last book of the New Testament. It tells the story of the apocalypse and the second coming of Jesus Christ. In the US, the book of Revelation is heavily quoted by some fanatics who will interpret anything they dislike in the world or in the behavior of a politician they hate as a sign of the end of times. It's honestly pretty tragic, and the practice has been denounced by theologians. It's become such a caricature that it's almost a bittersweet joke. In This House's People in It, the return of the pink entity is announced through a series of clues. I believe these clues are based on the book of Revelation as a subtle satire of religious fanaticism and other conspiracy theories. The family regularly receives the Links Gazette in their home. Attached to the Links Gazette are mysterious pink sticky notes. In total, 7 post-its appear on different pictures saved in the logs. In the book of Revelation, the narration is spaced by the opening of the 7 seals of the Book of Life by a biblically accurate holy lamb that will haunt my dreams till the end of times. This house version of Revelation is announced on, well, sticky notes. Out of the 7 pink sticky notes, only 6 are legible. The last one is too blurry to be read. A code seems to be written on each of them. Every time, the number 00437. Then, the following codes in order of their appearance within the timeline. These have often been interpreted as codes for medications. Numerous pills in the US are marked with these sort of codes. It makes perfect sense within the project. Self-medication, over-medication, addiction, strange diagnoses seem to be the central themes of This House's People in It, just as it was central to unedited footage of a bear. But what if it was also something else? What if R plus number on the sticky notes was equal to Revelation plus verse? I know it can be far-fetched, but for the sake of the exercise, let's try it out and see what sticks and what doesn't. R204, Revelation 24. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus, and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their forehead or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. A mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. Could it be a reference to the obsession of the family members with hand-washing and face-touching? It keeps coming back over and over again in the logs. Are they trying to avoid a certain mark? Most importantly, there is one character of This House's People in It that I carefully avoided so far, as you probably noticed. What if the beast of Revelation was Boomy the cat? The family, especially Tom and Jackson, are obsessed with Boomy.
Boomy is a blue cat.
He is, yeah.
He runs very, very fast. And I think that the imagery and the way it's portrayed is kind of meditative for him, if that sounds weird.
Jackson writes emails to the Boomy fan club. He, or maybe his dad, wants to enlist to be a boom cadet. They also obsess over images of the creature. They draw him repeatedly. They look at all the possible episodes of the series. They know the opening song by heart and sing it in inappropriate moments.
He's fast and he's blue, he's coming for you. He's Boomy the cat, he's your friend now too.
They likely play the eerie Boomy video game that is included in the log files. It's a modern-day worship of sorts.
Everybody needs an imaginary friend.
There is the kingdom of God, and then there is the fandom of Boomy. Boomy is supposedly a cute, childish cartoon representing a fast, adventurous cat. But it looks nothing like a cat. It's a weird hybrid creature, human, cat, Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog. In the end, Boomy looks more like a demonic monster, lord of the flies, worshipper of filth, eater of trash, rather than child-safe content. The biblical beast, which was also a weird mixture of animals, has turned into a cursed cartoon character, sort of worshipped by some family members. Maybe a cute Boomy the cat actually exists in the universe of This House Has People in It, for all other children. But maybe, within this specific family, a demon chose to express itself through the cartoon, transforming it into something monstrous, potentially dangerous, but still weirdly alluring for them. The cute cartoon Boomy is possessed by a demon, the way the dead pig head in the book Lord of the Flies is possessed by the devil, transforming it into a strange puppet. The demon literally takes on a Boomy costume to infiltrate the family. In the past, the belief in demonic possessions was used as an explanation for mental health issues. So, Boomy as the Beast is not a replacement of theories developed around the question of mental health within This House Has People in It, but an addition to them. Revelation 18:9. When the kings of the earth who committed adultery with her and shared her luxury see the smoke of her burning, they will weep and mourn over her. This passage evokes the original 12-minute short film broadcasted on Adult Swim in the most terrifying way. Madison lays in the kitchen floor, looking dead. The house gets filled up with smoke, not of her burning, but of whatever was in the oven, and that actually ends up obscuring the views of the video surveillance cameras. Meanwhile, Tom and Anne are around Madison, screaming, terrorized. The mention of adultery and luxury in the Bible verse could be something darker than I ever could imagine at first. That on top of obvious neglect, Madison could also be the victim of another type of abuse. Revelation 2:23. I will strike her children dead. Then all the churches will know that I am he who searches hearts and minds, and I will repay each of you according to your deeds. I will strike her children dead. When I discovered this verse, I admit that the confirmation bias I felt was high. This verse feels like another hint to the part of the theory that I developed earlier. All the children in the house might be dead, stuck in the limbo of neglect. Jackson called a dead body by his grandma. Madison crossing the floor while being unresponsive. Baby Amber disappearing in the air and changed to a doll. Revelation 19:4. The 24 elders and the 4 living creatures fell down and worshipped God, who was seated on the throne, and they cried, Amen, Hallelujah. Many people in This House Has People in It are seen falling down, face to the ground. Madison, going through the kitchen floor and into the basement, all the guests of Jackson's birthday party at the end of the film. A kind of strangely forced bow. But bow to whom? To what? Who's the god here? Well, Madison falls into the basement where the pink entity is, and to me, is not an evil creature, but the personification of a neglected, sacrificed child slowly resurrecting. Pink entity is, in a way, her savior, and she bows down to it with so much fervor that she literally crosses the floor to reach it, prompting her parents to come and somehow kneel too. After going down the basement, Tom also suddenly feels an urgent need to worship something or someone. He freaks out and screams to Anne while holding her face, I worship you.
Beautiful. You've always been so beautiful.
You need to stop right now!
I praise you. I serve you.
If there is no divinity, no one to worship, then these characters face down, Madison, the guests, are only dead or about to die. Their image is alike to the final shot of the Blair Witch Project or the hideous pictures of the Johnston Massacre. They fell down and met their makers. Revelation 3:7. The code on the sticky note is R372. There is no Revelation 37:2 nor Revelation 3:72. Seems like a hiccup in a theory that already doesn't hold much water. It's possible. But let's push it still and see where it can lead. Let's look at Revelation 3:7 and only keep the second sentence out of 2. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. In This House's People in It, the entire family is obsessed with opening and shutting doors, discovering new doors that they hadn't noticed before, especially Anne. But more importantly, in his show, the clay sculptor also makes one of the only explicit religious mentions of the entire project, and it seems like a distorted quote of this Revelation verse.
Sometimes when God closes a door, he opens a window. But sometimes he also closes that window. That's Link's disease.
It's a gibberish that I cannot make sense out of, but it really sounds like the sculptor is trying to quote scripture from memory and, well, partially failing. Revelation 13:5. The beast was given a mouth to utter proud words and blasphemies, and to exercise its authority for 42 months. If we follow the timeline, the very first video log of This House's People in It shows Boomy the cat, or Boomy the beast, waking up in the backyard. The date is 22nd of May 2014. The very last video log of This House's People in It is the reveal of the pink entity on the 3rd of November 2017. If Boomy is indeed Boomy the Beast, it exercised its authority not for 42 months, but 41 months and 12 days. This authority is the quasi-veneration I talked about through family consumption of Boomy content. The authority of Boomy also corresponds to 41 months and 12 days of sickness, neglect, abuse, unhealthy ritualistic performances, all documented in the logs. All this before the return of the pink entity, the return of the repressed, surrounded by flickering lights instead of the bright lights described in the Bible. Revelation 22:5. There will be no more night. They will not need the light of a lamp or the light of the sun, for the Lord God will give them light, and they will reign forever and ever. The discrepancy between the small flickering flashlight and the divine radiance of Revelation can leave us less than hopeful for the future of the family. But still, it's time to choose between Boomy Blue and Pink Entity, blue versus pink, cat versus dog. The parents had almost 42 months to make their choice. Both Boomy Blue and Pink Entity went to them at night to whisper something in their ear as they slept, something mysterious the spectator doesn't have access to. They surely have heard what Boomy the Beast had told them, given how important he is in their life, but they probably kept ignoring the voice of Pink Entity, just like they ignore its presence when it was literally present in the room. Hence, the need for Pink Entity to come back in a more theatrical and frontal way. Revelation 3:3. Remember, therefore, what you have received and heard. Hold it fast and repent. But if you do not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what time I will come to you. It's finally time for Tom and Anne to choose between the cartoon demon, symbolizing brainless consumerism, and the scary but most importantly vulnerable creature that is coming to them and opening its arms to them in a sign of welcome. A little pause there. Okay, I know that because I'm talking about the book of Revelation, it feels like I'm saying that Pink Entity is Jesus. I'm absolutely not. If the book of Revelation was indeed used consciously, which might be a preposterous invention on my part, I believe it was in a satirical way, to make fun of fanaticism and the very American manipulation of this passage of scriptures. But as far as pink entity is concerned, and its slow resurrection as the timeline goes on, I believe it can be a reference to many different divinities across religions. The resurrected deity is a belief widely shared around the world. My personal obsession with This House's People in It started with one single flashing image in the original 12 minutes infomercial, the pink entity half buried into the mess of the cellar. It reminded me of another image that intuitively came into my mind, a still from the movie Begotten. Begotten is a 1989 American experimental horror movie by Elias Merridge, who also directed the more mainstream Shadow of the Vampire. Begotten is an oddity that became a cult classic and later on an internet obsession, often deemed the scariest film of all times by people who are not afraid of superlatives. The film mingles elements of many religions, Christian, Celtic, Slavic, in a strange, dreamlike aesthetic. Even if horrible things technically happen throughout, it's not a gore horror film. It feels like we're watching something that dates back from the beginning of humanity, if someone magically had a camera then. The opening scene of the movie shows a strange figure in the corner of a room disemboweling itself with a razor. Is identified as God in the credits. From its insides, a woman, identified as Mother Earth, is born. In turn, she gives birth to a malformed God. Mother and son are murdered by a group of men. Their bodies are cut to pieces and placed in jars of clay that are then placed into the ground. Time passes, and their tomb starts blooming with flowers. The robed figure of God from the start appears again, as well as the mother and the son. With this resurrection, the cycle of life starts anew. The gods of Begotten do not belong to any specific religion. They are unique, all the while echoing with many religions. So, pink entity is not Jesus, just like it's not Osiris, the Egyptian god cut to pieces and then resuscitated, nor Dionysus, the Greek god cut to pieces and then resuscitated. Pink entity is pink entity, its own version of resurrection and salvation, the resurrected, neglected child whose misery was a cornerstone of this house. Back to Revelation. If the Revelation references were conscious, they were satirical, and they give an extra funny twist to some of the most disturbing scenes of This House's People in It. Because aside from the 7 pink sticky notes of Apocalypse, other signs can be read through the scope of the Book of Revelation. In the Book of Revelation, angels and Jesus Christ symbolically reap the earth. Take your sickle and reap, because the time to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. As it happens, the family of This House's People in It is often discussing the veggies in the garden being big and ready to be harvested and eaten. But most importantly, we have this weird and hilarious scene. Instead of reaping the earth, the pink entity is mowing the lawn in the dead of the night. Another possible sign of Revelation, the weird relationship of the family towards trees. The family celebrates Christmas in summer, which is a weird practice of an initially religious celebration. And then, in a brutal scene, Anne is filmed cutting the Christmas tree with a machete. Generally speaking, the parents seem eager to cut trees, as seen in the conversations recorded between Tom and Anne. A weird correlation appears between the control of the trees and the control of the children. The growth of trees was also a recurring image in old child-rearing books, as well as books about the treatment of prisoners. In Revelation, it is said, "They were told not to harm the grass of the earth, or any green plant, or any tree." Death cutting down the tree of life is a recurring theme of medieval images, and also notably appearing in the movie The Seventh Seal, which is about the Book of Revelation. Death cuts down the tree where a man has climbed to try to escape his fate. Read through this Christian scope, the habit of tree cutting in the family of This House's People in It means one thing: time is almost up. The final possible reference to Revelation are the AEB surveillance solution logs themselves. Are the logs of AB surveillance the digital version of the Book of Life, that's to say, God's records? According to the Book of Revelation, people whose name appears in the Book of Life will be saved at the Last Judgment. Anyone whose name was not found written in the Book of Life was thrown into the lake of fire. But the family members of this house's people in it are actually not named in the logs. They are only called subjects. Subject of a kingdom, subject of an experience, we'll never know for sure. Question is being named as a subject enough to be saved? Whether we're talking about saving your soul or saving your progress as a video game character for those who believe they're all Sims. Compared to the biblical Book of Revelation, the final revelation in this house's people in it is a weak one, or more exactly, a fragile one. Little sticky notes, flickering lights, lawnmowers, Beast of the Apocalypse doing cosplay. Following what I developed all through this video, this revelation of abuse doesn't leave us with much hope for the future, because in the real world, a revelation of abuse is not enough to get salvation from abuse, not enough to solve all the problems. It's only a part of the process, filled with fear, but also filled with hope. Conclusion. All right, I reached the bottom of my personal rabbit hole. Have I dug too far? Maybe. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. These were my connections, my links, through all this joob. In the end, the beauty of this house's people in it is that we'll never know for sure. If we try to explain everything, we are doomed to fail. Several signs show that AB Surveillance Solutions is retaining information and controlling the narrative by altering manually the videos. In Revelation, for the Book of Life to be opened, each of the 7 seals has to be opened by the Lamb. If the pink sticky notes are indeed the seals, then we're still missing one, the one that will forever be blurry. Without this seal, and without the mysterious missing R, the book will never totally open. The mystery will never totally be solved because it's not meant to be completely solved. Some people pointed out, quite rightfully so, that the only thing we know for sure is that this house has people in it. Literally. We're just watching a bunch of people in a messy structure that always needs fixing and that we'll call a house, for now. In my convoluted rambling theories, what I hold the dearest is the idea that pink entity is nothing evil, nothing bad. What is bad is what's been happening to it, the abuse it's been subjected to. What touches me the most in this fantastic art piece that is this house's people in it is the light it sheds on vulnerability, and most especially child vulnerability, in face of the whims and failures of adults. The children are always the collateral damage. Under the original 12 minutes short posted on YouTube by Adult Swim, a comment by Titanium Bagel was liked more than 10,000 times, including once by me. I think the title, This House Has People in It, is referring to, this is a house, not a home. We are just people who live together, not a family. Each character of this house's people in it is struggling, fighting for happiness and for a sense of belonging. Scrutinizing them through the transparent walls of their ant house, we can easily make fun of them, deem their habits and beliefs ridiculous, judge them, just like I did. Anne, Tom, Madison, Jackson, Amber, they are the subject of our gaze in their own panoptic private prison. But judging their behavior is also an invitation to examine our own, reflect on the way we treat the people we love and the most fragile people around us. One character, who constantly escapes submission to our gaze, is there to make sure that we do.